You're listening to the One Man Show Network. Welcome to the MMA Fight Picks Podcast with your host, Aaron Weinbaum.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to a very late MMA Fight Picks Podcast. I'm going to be picking some fights from both Bellator 251 and that's Manhoef versus Corey Anderson, Melvin Manhoef, Corey Anderson, and of course, this week's UFC, which features Glover to Santos. God bless it. Glover Teixeira versus Thiago Santos. His valiant return. I see I've got lots of viewers already. I'm just on Periscope this week. I'll upload this to YouTube later, but feel free to share, chime in, whatever. I'll throw your comment into the video after the fact, or you just go to aaronsayswhat.com and click on MMA Fight Picks for your favorite way to subscribe and listen. Of course, we are sponsored by HeroSoapCompany.com. Promo code MMAFP or /MMAFP, whatever, gets you a percentage off. You can subscribe and save. They're all natural soaps. They're made by veterans, benefiting veterans. But let's get to the fights. First off, way down on the card here, and I'm going to pick Bellator first. I'm just going to pick a few fights for each. Bryce Logan versus Georgi Karakhanyan. This is kind of buried on the bottom of the card, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me because if you look further up in the card, you do have like a Tyrell Fortune who you sort of heard of, but Georgi, one of the better known 145-pounders. So I find that quite interesting, and I need to make sure. I think this is at featherweight, and maybe this is kind of why it's buried, but I don't think it is at featherweight because Bryce has fought. Yeah, it doesn't say. Bummer. And that's kind of the problem with these Bellator cards sometimes. But Bryce Logan, let's just take a look here. He does have 3 wins in a row. In LFA, believe it or not, Jacob Rosales, Jonas Flock, and Kenneth Glenn. Okay, guys I've never heard of. But let's take a look at Georgi. Obviously, he's fought the better known of the competition. He did just lose to Miles Jury in a decision, beats Paul Redman before that. I guess he has been in quite a bit of little losing. It's not really a losing streak, but he had some losses. AJ McKee, Emmanuel Sanchez, did lose to Henry Corrales. So, yeah, I guess he's not been quite as dominant as I thought, but he's been there before. He certainly had better, more stiff competition than Bryce Logan, by the way. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick it for Georgi. Mr. Van Sant, the gentleman, Austin Vanderford, coming in short notice, I believe, against Vinicius de Jesus. So, the Brazilian bad boy. Contested 170 pounds. Let's take a look at Austin. I don't believe he's lost, and no, he is not lost. And I call him Mr. Van Zandt. Of course, he is married to the very famous, beautiful Paige Van Zandt. So, how about that? Although he's undefeated, he's not exactly fought a who's who in MMA. Gracich Bozinian, Joseph Career, Cody Jones. See, none of these guys I've really heard of. Fought in FFC. He did fight once on the Contender Series. Got a submission. Didn't get in the UFC for whatever reason. So now he's fighting in Bellator. And I believe Paige is signed to fight in bare knuckle boxing. So that's interesting there. So what's going on Twitter? Yeah. But let's see here. Vinicius de Jesus looks like a bad man here. Did just lose to Jaleel Willis in LFA. Has wins over Cliff Lozano, Jeremiah Wells, Rodolfo Barcelos, Tim Karen. Again, guys I've never heard of. But, LFA, Bellator's a bit of a step up from LFA. Vanderford's been there before. Of course, there's no crowd to worry about. But I like Vanderford in this fight. Yeah. You know, he does have, when I'm looking at Vanderford here, he's got a lot of TKOs and submissions and whatnot. So he's a finisher, you know. De Jesus. Yeah, I mean, a lot of TKO finishes too, and submissions of his own. So this could be a sleeper fight, and that's why I wanted to pick it, because I think Vanderford is one of the more underrated talents, mostly because he's overshadowed by his wife, Paige Van Zandt. All right, next up. Oh, I'm about to have double volume here. Boom. Squashed it. Okay. Welcome to Bellator, folks, where the main event of the evening is Corey Anderson, one of the most dominant. I don't want to say dominant, but he is up there when it comes to light heavyweights, okay? Up there. He was in the UFC. I believe he went off on a win, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look. I'm pretty sure he did go out on a win. No, I'm sorry. He did lose to Jan Blachowicz. Before that, though, wins over Johnny Walker, Ilir Latifi, Glover. He's got a win over Glover, who is quite possibly fighting for the number one light heavyweight title shot. Okay? Patrick Cummins. So he's been winning for a while here. Then let's take a look at Melvin. Now, I'm not trying to take away anything from Melvin Manhoef, okay? 2 wins in a row. The problem is this. He's fought all the way down at welterweight, okay? Well, thanks for the hearts, whoever keeps giving me those. Okay? This is not a 205-pounder. This is another Bellator freak show. Yannick Bahidi, he just beat him. Kent Kopperman, Rafael Carvel loses. Rafael Carvel before that loses. Okay, so no contest, of course, against Alexander Shevchenko. I don't remember quite what happened there. Lost to Joe Schilling. Yeah, all right. Oh, come on, stop it. This is a total mismatch. I mean, Manhoef's got the name recognition, but Corey's going to kill him. I don't know. I know what we're hoping to see here. And even at 170, 185 pounds, he's still inflated. So, Manhoef, that is. I don't know what he's going to look like trying to fight at 205. I don't know what the weigh-ins were for this fight, but no. No bueno. All right, let's turn the tables here. We're going to do the UFC Vegas picks right now. So, if you didn't want to help with Bellator, you didn't know who these guys were, feel free to join the fun and help pick there, okay? So UFC Vegas 12, I believe. No, 13. And this is just the hashtag. So feel free to join the fun. I'm tweeting that out because I'm only on Twitter this week. Live discussion, if you will. So if you have any comments, enter them here, or you can at me on Twitter, and I should possibly get that. All right. So first up, I see lots of viewers ready for the UFC portion of this. Marco's joining. Very good. Very good. So if you have any opinions on any of these fights, feel free to help out here. And I'm only going to pick the top 3. Ian Heinisch, Brennan Allen first. Ian, I believe his impressive win was over, it was GM3, Gerald Marchart. Before that, he had 2 losses. He's kind of in a tough way. 2 unanimous decision losses. Omari Akhmedov, Derek Brunson. Before that, he was kind of he was on a tear. No doubt about it. Wins over Antonio Carlos Jr., Cesar Fiera, Justin Sumter. And this is back in the Contender Series days. So, Ian, coming off a win, just had a TKO back in June. Former drug addict, had done some time in prison. Very inspiring story, Ian Heinisch. So, you want to root for the guy, but let's take a look at his opponent here before I totally discount things. Brennan Allen hasn't lost since 2018. Let's take a look at his win list here. I'm stuttering full today. Kyle Dawkins, Tom Breeze, Kevin Holland. Well, isn't that something? Kevin Holland. Now, Kevin, of course, is hot right now after his win last week over late Filton there. Charlie Ontiveros pretty much dumped Charlie on his head. But this was a short weight. I think this was a short notice middleweight fight. And I believe Kevin primarily fights. I'm gonna double check here at 170 pounds. So no, he is a 185 pounder now. Okay, so he was a welterweight up until 2017. So enough about that. Middleweight. This fight is at middleweight. Just by strength of schedule alone, I like Ian in this fight. I believe it's Ian. But, so I'm going to pick Heinisch. How about this? 20 years ago, this man debuts in the UFC. Okay, Andrei Arlovski. I remember watching that crazy fight with him and Tim Sylvia. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to dig into this record here. 20 years, okay? I'm going to see. So that was 2000. Real tough math here. 2020 minus 20. Carry. Yep, 2000. Okay. Where was he in the UFC? So he's been fighting the UFC since, November 2000. Exactly almost 20 years, okay? Maybe a week off. It's November 17th, okay? Didn't have the easiest road, losing to the likes of Rico Rodriguez, Pedro Rizzo, coming back and having a few wins here and there, and then wins the interim heavyweight championship. Achilles heel lock, Tim Sylvia, February 2005, okay? Goes on a run as interim champ. Justin Eilers, Paul Montello, okay? Loses the UFC heavyweight championship match against Tim Sylvia by TKO. Loses again to Tim Sylvia 2006. Goes on another tear. Marcia Cruz, Fabricio Verdum, Jake O'Brien, Ben Rothwell, Roy Nelson. Okay, but a few of these not in the UFC. We got Affliction, Elite XC. In this Elite XC fight, it's only fair to mention that Roy almost submitted him. Can't remember the move, and they separated him. So, what are you going to do there, right? Then after this, by more Affliction, KO'd by Fedor, KO'd by Brett Rogers later in Strikeforce, loses Antonio Silva, loses Sergey Kartinov, okay? That is a 4-fight losing streak, folks. Turn it up to 2011, all of a sudden, we're in Pro Elite. Wins against Ray Lopez, wins against Travis Fulton. Has this weird rematch in August 2012 against Tim Sylvia. Illegally soccer kicks him on purpose, he admits. Wins over Devin Cole. World Series of Fighting, Mike Hayes. Loses to Anthony Johnson, who moves up to heavyweight by unanimous decision. Anthony Johnson. Okay? Then beats Mike Kyle. Mike Kyle, not really known to be a heavyweight. He was a light heavyweight, moving up. Also, beats Andreas. I can't even say it. Krenetioka. I don't know. All of a sudden, after this fight in 2013, after this TKO, he is back in the UFC. Okay, 14 years after his UFC debut, he makes it back after being out of the UFC since 2000. Gosh, when was that? I want to say 2005. No, 2008. Okay? 2008. 8 years later. Okay? Interesting. Let's take a look at this run. Comes back to beat Brendan Schaub. All of a sudden, he's gonna go on a 4-fight tear. KOs Antonio Silva. KOs Travis Brown. Goes to a decision with Frank Mir. Okay? We're back on a big losing streak. Again, this guy doesn't go anywhere, though. 2016, Dana White will tell you he likes Andrei Arlovski. He's going to keep Andrei Arlovski around. Here's the loss. Here's the losing streak. Starts in January 16, 2016, ends June 2017. Okay, Stipe, the champion. Alistair, always right up there. TKO'd. Josh Barnett, submitted. Francis Ngannou, knocked out. Marcin Teixeira, decision loss. And then a 2-fight win streak. Junior Albini, Stefan Struve. And then a 2-fight lose streak. Tai Tuivasa, Shamil Aburkharimov. No contest over Walt Harris because Harris tested positive for something. Oh my gosh, loses to Augusto Sakai. Comes back July 2019, beats Ben Rothwell. Gets KO'd by Jairzinho Rosenstreich. Beats the brakes off of Felipe Lins. Now fighting Tanner Boser. A very, very likable young up-and-comer who's on a little bit of a tear himself. Only one loss in his last, 5 fights. Okay, let's take a look. He's in Unified MMA. Beats a guy named Gerald Kilkenny. Okay, gets the UFC debut, October 2019. Beats Daniel Spitz. Loses to Cyril Gain, who they're trying to make a fight between him and Junior Dos Santos right now. Beats Felipe Lins, the guy that Arlovski beats as well. Just beats, and knocks him out. This was June. Comes back a month later in July. Knocks out Rafael Pessoa. Now he's going against the very seasoned Andrei Arlovski. Now, I love Andrei. I love his battle. I love the fact I'm going over 20 years worth of fights for you. But, got to tell you, I like Boser in this one. And I don't see how Boser doesn't beat him unless he just gets caught, by some sort of veteran situation with Arlovski, who I believe is now training at American Top Team. So, very good. The main event of the evening, the returning Thiago Santos, went tooth and nail with John Jones. A lot of people thought he won that fight. Both his knees pretty much fell off. Excruciating rehab to get back into the octagon. This fight was supposed to happen once before, and there was a Glover, I don't remember who tested. There was a COVID positive test. Glover, who's very much revered as one of the nicest people in MMA until he goes out there. I got you. Let's take a look at Glover, though. Beat the teeth out of Anthony Lionheart-Smith. He's on a 4-fight win streak. Now, all of a sudden, he has not lost since 2018, since Corey Anderson comes back, beats Carl Roberson, Ion Cutabella, Nikita Krylov, Anthony Smith. Okay? But Santos, no joke either, and is a killer since moving up to 205 pounds. Hasn't lost since David Branch in 2018. Then he beats Kevin Holland, beats Eric Anders. Now, that Anders fight I didn't like for Anders because it was kind of short notice, and, Anders had just fought at middleweight before that. So, Eric was kind of gaining a little weight. Santos was cutting a little weight to get to 205. Didn't like that one. Knocks out, and I believe retires, Jimmy Manuwa. Knocks out the now champion, Jan Blachowicz. And now, that very razor-close decision loss to John Jones. And I got to tell you, kids, I think we're going to see Santos beat Teixeira. And what an interesting story that would be if the Israel-Jan Blachowicz fight doesn't happen for whatever reason, because we got Santos that has this win over Jan Blachowicz. So there you go. Those are the picks. Thank you all so much for listening. I see I had quite a nice viewing here. My father, my dad's watching. Cool. All right. Well, I think he's watching. So that's it for now, unless there are no more comments. I'm gonna bug on out of here, and we'll see y'all next week. Shalom.
Please remember to support the podcast by visiting the affiliate links on AaronSaysWhat.com.